That word, cache, is worth spending some time on because it's doing a lot of heavy lifting in this story. A cache is a temporary storage location. Your browser has one. It stores files it has already downloaded so it doesn't have to download them again. Images, style sheets, JavaScript files. These can all be cached. When you first visit Gmail, your browser downloads the JavaScript application and stores it in its cache. It also stores other assets, icons, fonts, style sheets, everything visual and functional that doesn't change very often. When you come back to Gmail the next day, your browser first checks its cache. It asks, do I already have a version of this file? Is it still valid? If yes, it uses that version. No download required. This is why Gmail loads faster on your second visit than your first. Google controls how long these files stay in the cache by setting something called cache headers. Instructions embedded in the service response that tell your browser exactly how long to trust the cache version before checking again. For files that change rarely, like the core JavaScript application, these headers can be set to allow caching for days, weeks, or even months. This means that for a regular Gmail user, the heavy lifting of downloading the application almost never happens after that very first visit. But caching doesn't just happen at the browser level. There's another layer worth understanding. Google serves Gmail to users all over the world. If every request had to travel to a single server in one location, users in Belgium or Brazil or Singapore would experience much higher delays than users close to that server. To solve this, Google uses the Content Delivery Network, a CDN, as a geographical distributed system of servers that stores copies of static files, things like JavaScript bundles, images, and style sheets, and serve them from whichever server is physically closest to the user. So when you open Gmail in Brussels, your browser might be downloading the JavaScript application from a server in Frankfurt or Amsterdam or even closer. The data travels less distance, so it arrives faster. This is completely invisible to you. You just experience it as Gmail loading quickly. There's another optimization technique worth understanding, and that's compression. When a server sends a file to your browser, it doesn't have to send it in its original form. It can compress it first, essentially squeezing it into a smaller package, and your browser decompresses it on the other end. The most common compression formats used on the web are called gzip and Brotli. Brotli, which is Google's own compression format, is particularly effective on JavaScript and text-based files. It can reduce file size by 20 to 30% compared to gzip, and sometimes more. What this means in practice is that even if Gmail's JavaScript application is large, when stored on a server, the version that actually travels across the network to your browser is significantly smaller. Less data to transfer means faster loading. Your browser knows how to ask for compressed files automatically. It includes a header in its request saying which compression formats it supports. The server sees that, compresses accordingly, and sends the smaller version. Your browser decompresses it when it arrives, and the result is a full working JavaScript file. Now let's go deeper into what happens with your actual emails. The data that changes constantly. Google servers are the source of truth for your email. Every message, every contact, every label, every setting lives on Google's infrastructure. Your browser never owns that data permanently, but does borrow it temporarily to make everything feel faster. When Gmail loads and you're logged in, it doesn't wait for you to click something before fetching your emails. It starts immediately in the background. Before you even looked at your inbox, Gmail is already sending requests to the Google service asking for your most recent messages. By the time you scroll down to see your inbox, the first stream of emails is already there. Your brain perceived this as instant, but it wasn't as instant. It was just fast enough that you didn't notice the loading. This technique is called prefetching, and Gmail is extremely aggressive about it. It doesn't just fetch what's visible, it also fetches emails you might open next. It looks at your behavior patterns and makes predictions. If you always open the first unread email when you log in, Gmail might start loading that email's content before you even click on it. To store all of this fetch data inside your browser, Gmail uses a technology called indexedDB. IndexedDB is a database that lives entirely in your browser. It's not a file on your hard drive in the traditional sense. It's a structured storage system managed by your browser, accessible only by the specific website that created it. Gmail uses IndexedDB to store email metadata, recent messages, contact information, and other data that doesn't need to come from the server every single time. When you open Gmail and your inbox appears almost immediately, a significant part of what you're seeing came from IndexedDB, not from Google servers. This is also how Gmail's offline mode works. If you lose your internet connection, you can still open Gmail, read emails that were already loaded, and even compose new ones. Everything is stored locally. The new emails you compose get queued, and when your connection comes back, they are sent automatically. IndexedDB is powerful, but it has limits. It can't store everything. Gmail is selective about what it keeps locally. Typically, your most recent emails, your most frequent contacts, and whatever you recently interacted with. All the emails or ones you've never opened still require a trip to the server. Let's talk about service workers because they're a critical piece of this picture that often gets overlooked. A service worker is a JavaScript file that runs in the background of your browser, separately from the main Gmail application. You can think of it as a middleman that sits between your browser and the network. Every time Gmail wants to fetch something from the server, the request passes to the service worker first. The service worker can intercept that request, check whether it already has cached response, and if it does, return that cached response immediately without ever going to the network at all. This makes things dramatically faster for repeated requests. If you've already loaded a particular email and its images, and you close Gmail and come back, the service worker can serve all of that content from its cache before any network request even begins. Service workers are also what enable offline functionality. They can be programmed to handle requests even when there is no network connection, returning cached content and queuing outgoing requests for later. They run completely in the background without blocking the main application, and they persist even after you close the Gmail tab. As long as your browser is running, the service worker is there, managing the cache, ready to make your next Gmail session faster. Now let's talk about how data gets into you in real time, because email isn't just something you fetch, it's something that arrives. When someone sends you an email, how does Gmail know to show it to you immediately? Your browser isn't constantly hammering Google's server asking, any new mails? Any new mails? That would be incredibly wasteful. Instead, Gmail uses a technique that allows the server to push information to your browser when something new happens. The traditional approach to this problem is called long polling. Your browser sends a request to the server, but the server doesn't respond immediately. It holds the connection open, waiting. When a new email arrives, the server uses that open connection to send a notification. Your browser receives it, closes the connection immediately and opens a new one, and waits again. This gives the appearance of real-time updates without requiring the server to initiate contact with your browser unprompted, something that wasn't always easily possible in older web architectures. Modern Gmail uses a more efficient version of this called the WebSocket, or a similar protocol where a persistent two-way connection is maintained between your browser and the server. When something changes, a new email arrives, a label is updated, the contact syncs, the server pushes that update down the connection instantly. Your browser receives it, and the JavaScript application updates your inbox in real time without you doing anything. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Because Gmail didn't invent most of these techniques, it just combined them exceptionally well. The pattern that Gmail established, the JavaScript application that loads once, manages its own state, fetches only the data it needs, and updates the interface dynamically, became the dominant model for building web applications. Today, almost every major web app you use follows the same architecture. Google Docs, Notion, Figma, Slack, Twitter, Trello. They all load the JavaScript application once, and they operate largely within your browser, fetching data in the background and updating the interface without pulling page reloads. The frameworks that enable this, React, Angular, Vue, Svelte, are the building blocks that development teams use to implement these patterns quickly and reliably. Understanding this architecture means you're not just understanding Gmail, you're understanding how the modern web works. Every time a page updates without reloading, that's JavaScript. Every time a read search result appears before you finish typing, that's AJAX request. Every time an app works, even without internet, that's the service worker and the local cache. Let's also address something that often confuses people, the difference between the app's code and your data. When Gmail caches your email in index.DB or when a service worker stores responses locally, that data lives in your browser and on your device. But it's not the original copy. Google servers always hold the authoritative version of your emails. The local copy in your browser is a temporary mirror, a convenience layer designed to make things faster. If you clear your browser's cache or use Gmail in a new browser or on a new device, all of that local data is gone. You'll start fresh. Gmail will load the application again, fetch your emails from Google servers again, and rebuild the local cache over time. This is also why Gmail works seamlessly across devices. The data lives on Google servers. Your browser, on any device you log in from, simply fetches what it needs and creates a local cache. The experience feels consistent because the source of the truth is consistent. Now let's talk about one more concept that ties everything together: coding, splitting, and lazy loading. We said Gmail's JavaScript application is large, but not all of it is needed immediately. When you first open Gmail, you don't need the code for Google Meet integration or the setting panel or the advanced search filters. You just need the inbox. Modern application development accounts for this with a technique called code splitting. Instead of bundling everything into one giant file, the application is split into multiple smaller chunks. Only the chunks needed for the initial view are loaded right away. Other chunks are loaded on demand, lazily, when the user navigates to a part of the application that needs them. This means your browser does less work up front and the application becomes interactive faster. The code for features you never use might never be downloaded at all. Gmail implements this carefully, prioritizing the inbox experience, the thing most users see first, and deferring everything else until it's actually needed. There's one more thing worth understanding, and that's the role of the browser itself in all of this. Your browser is not just a container for web pages. It's a sophisticated runtime environment. It has JavaScript engine. In Chrome, this is called V8 that compiles and executes JavaScript code at high speed. It has a rendering engine that converts HTML and CSS into pixel on screen. It has a networking stack that manages all the connections and requests going in and out. All of these components are working together constantly while you use Gmail. The JavaScript engine is executing the application logic. The rendering engine is updating what you see. The networking stack is managing the background requests. Modern browsers are also extremely good at parallelism. While JavaScript is fetching new emails in the background, the rendering engine can be drawing the inbox, while the service worker is checking its cache. The main application can be responding to your clicks. Nothing waits for anything else unnecessarily. This is why your laptop doesn't grind to a halt while you're using Gmail. The work is distributed efficiently across the different components of the browser, and the browser itself is designed to handle exactly this kind of workload. Let's bring it all together. Gmail feels fast because of a collection of technologies working in concert. The JavaScript application loads once and lives in your browser, so the interface is always ready. Ajax requests to fetch only the data that's needed, so nothing is wasted. The browser cache stores files locally so they don't have to be downloaded again. IndexedDB holds your recent emails so they appear instantly. Service workers intercept network requests and serve cached responses where possible. Prefetching loads content before you click, so it's already there when you do. CDN servers around the world deliver files from nearby locations. Compression reduces file sizes before they travel. Code splitting ensures only necessary code loads up front. And a persistent connection to Google servers means new emails arrive the moment they land. Remove any of one of these pieces and Gmail gets slower. Remove several and it starts to feel like a website from the early 2000s. This is what modern web engineering looks like. Not one clever trick, but a dozen of the carefully considered decisions, each solving a specific bottleneck, each working together with all the others. And the remarkable thing is that none of this is specific to Gmail. Every tool in this stack, JavaScript, Ajax, Service Worker, IndexedDB, CDN, compression, code splitting, is then open and available to any developer building any web application. Gmail just happened to be one of the first to use all of them together at scale in a way that changes what people expected from a web application. The next time Gmail opens and then under the second, you know exactly what